Reborn, I'm waiting for you.
Meme mods in S.T.A.L.K.E.R are nothing new, but there is one that stands out more than the others. That would be S.T.A.L.K.E.R Reborn. Being famous for having the best atmosphere and impeccable gameplay, and a story that would boost your S.T.A.L.K.E.R to anxiety because it sets the bar that high. The mod is known for being bait for rookie S.T.A.L.K.E.R s, usually recommended by schizophrenics that somewhat enjoy the chaos of the Reborn trilogy. Most likely more than half of them never completed it, and those who did are something special. Watching us mere mortals from above with our anomalies and gammas and social life, but that's loser shit. Being reborn is a state that not all of us will achieve. The whole premise of the mod is that it takes place right after the events of Clear Sky, so spoilers ahead. You play as S.T.A.K.E.R who was reborn, and the zone has changed massively for the worse, slavifying everything even further and removing concepts such as comprehension and quality. The atmosphere is surprisingly good. Bushes and trees have been turned into webs, with the zone visibly being not in a good place, with massive lightning strikes constantly cracking through the skies and the void itself opening from time to time to bear witness to these barren lands, while on some other more questionable design choices. Is that a fucking elbow? There is no answer for the visual choice of the Reborn team, but the base game will look fine, for the most part. They perfectly captured how it feels to find 13 different pills on the streets and chuck them down with a Red Bull. The weapons in this mod are mostly unchanged, other than some small touches, and the fact that now you can actually shoot straight. The 5.56 guns use completely different models, but that's boring. Here is a grenade launcher shooting dog skeletons, and here is a minigun that goes through your ammo reserve like my Turkish friend will go through your house. A 50 caliber sniper is also present in this mod, and it is quite effective against mutants, unlike most guns that seem to be absolute dog water. Pistols are especially worthless, but you wouldn't have much of a reason to use them anyway, as every third zombie will have an RPG for some reason. Fighting mutants is just painful, as they follow you forever and almost all the guns simply tickle them, except shotguns, which seem to be able to one-shot everything from 200 meters away. For bigger things you just have to use several rockets, as the things you don't one-shot you suffer from. Especially controllers, as they just dislocate your brain when they're on the same map as you, making it literally impossible to fight them up close. To counter that, the devs gave absolutely every single mutant the ability to dislocate your ass, so the suffering is consistent. You will get hit, be shoved through a rock, then die because you can't stop looking at the floor. For extra pain, the devs added spiders, which simply charge at you and eat hundreds of bullets before they die. And shotguns don't work here either, but jumping on anything higher than a meter works. Chimeras have also been made slightly faster, which is kinda funny. And now what you came for, the massive pseudo-giants. They will simply appear, lock onto you, take 2 steps and flatten you. So why not hide somewhere, you may think? Well, they will clip their way through the building you're in just to get to you. There are also pseudo-giants that use leaping attacks, which makes me wonder if this is something that was cut from the trilogy, as I really doubt the Reborn team made this themselves. Fighting S.T.A.L.K.E.R s on the other hand is also painful. Well, not as bad as it could be, but our enemies will have the same laser point accuracy as you, usually leading to a cycle of bleeding, bandaging it twice, and bleeding again 1 second after that. Luckily, vodka also stops bleeding for some reason. Alcoholism has always been the best solution to bullet wounds. Most S.T.A.L.K.E.R s are also armed with RPGs and high-end guns, especially zombies for some reason, resulting in thrilling gameplay of loading your save, getting bombed back to Stone Age, reloading your save again and repeating it 17 times before beating your wife and calling that a productive day. Well, other than that, the AI is pretty stupid. The faction wars barely work, making it impossible to either win or lose, as the S.T.A.L.K.E.R just won't take any camps. Most S.T.A.L.K.E.R s will just not move or walk the same path around the house for eternity, and only time the game functions normally is during random firefights or quests to take over an area, which doesn't really work. The mod has its own set of unique features that make it stand out as well, like how your boat is replaced by a flash drive, and when you throw it, it's a dog skeleton. And these things can stack, which is quite funny to me, and to be paired with them, there are a few new anomalies which I have no idea what they do. My favorite anomaly being the random mine that was placed exactly where I was going. The conflict between duty and freedom has been resolved as well, by simply replacing freedom with meth addicts and not changing duty at all. And the biggest change of this mod being teleporters across the entire zone that let you travel across different maps, like this one that gets you from garbage to the swamps, or this one that just spits you out in the Limansk bridge, or this one under Forester's elevator that puts you on the edge of Red Forest, because why the fuck not? And now the only thing left to cover is the story, if I can even call this shit a story, more like a bad acid trip. The thing barely functions and it breaks whenever it feels like, so if you want to actually complete this mod, which I don't know why you would, you need to hard save before and after every single thing you do. It starts with an epic cutscene of S.T.A.K.E.R fighting S.T.A.L.K.E.R the CMPP, when the massive emission strikes but S.T.A.K.E.R survives and appears in the town with 8 bottles of vodka and one objective: to find swag. So I went directly to the objective and the massive pseudo-giant spawned and swiftly one-tapped me. After several failed attempts, I went around the entirety of Zaton just to reach it from a very specific angle, and inside was a shotgun, 10 rounds and a knife, very swag. The only other way to go was a transition to cordon, so I went there to find half of the zone camping it, so I ran in and died. Wow. Then I grew a brain cell and decided to bait the enemies out before going in, but I ran in the wrong direction and I got stuck. After several attempts I got to the end, so did all the mutants following me. The 73rd time was better though, and I got on this pixel walk and crossed into the cordon transition. The cordon looked a lot like Yantar, so I tried to reach Sidorovic's bunker but it was locked, so I went to what I can only assume is the vehicle station and found Code, Kalancha and Diktiarev. Well, since I have no idea what to do, I went along with them through the plant. After several attempts I had cleared the plant, then I wondered why exactly did I do that? Well, at least I got some gear, so I went to Agroprom. There I got my first quest marker. Hype! Be very attended. So I was very attended and I visited duty that was not doing too well. I guess I ran out of white monster. With no real direction I visited Hermit, who made sure to give me the most useless word soup of a dialogue ever. Thank you fellow schizophrenic, but I must head out now. I knew that I had to reach the swamps, so I kept on making my way through to there. Past the new One Wolves faction replacing the renegades when I noticed an important character on the map. It was a girl that was lost and needed escort, so I decided to help and try to give her a gun, but she refused to let go of her red P250 skin. She ran back, then back again, and eventually we reached the rails where she stopped. The ground shook and she ran away past the transition to Agroprom and disappeared. Okay. After that interaction I simply went towards the Clear Sky base, but the guides were useless, so I just made my own way to there. And the peak of S.T.A.K.E.R voice acting hit me.
What the hell is that? I was on the station. What the... Isn't they see me? What the hell is that?
So, welcome.
Do you remember what happened to you?
No.
Well, alright. Let's take a break. I have to do a few things. Take care of yourself.
Well, apparently Clear Sky are trying to solve the mystery of the monolith, and the plot is finally given to you. You need to buy white monster from some guy, find a way to Limansk, and then find 3 artifacts of death. And apparently everything will be clarified with the help of PDAs you find. And now you're given the choice of a set of faction. Clear Sky, Stalkers, Retards, Potheads, the choke I will not be making, single wolves in your area, and surprisingly the monolith. Knowing the game, I chose Clear Sky. And now I need to get info from Professor Bashnia and 2 mercenaries named Meat Grinder and Looter. After that I was pooped out into the swamp's base and Kalancha bombarded me with text, which roughly translates to "we fucked up" and another reality was created. Then all of a sudden my character had a schizo episode. After that I went to meet Grinder at the swamps, but ended up not recording the conversation. He spoke of some crossroads of time, but no real direction was given. So I headed to Sidorovich, who now has Bulgarians as bodyguards that steal your money by just being near them. And this is where the mode peaked.
Что притащил? Ну чего стоишь?
Да, слушай, Сидорович, а как тебе удается выжить в этом бреду? Ты-то вроде нормальный мужик.
Well, I have no fucking clue what he said, but the written dialogue is far from useful. Then I headed north and found a random marked PDA. Quoting, "Fuck out the hoes. Crossroads of time exists. Fuck yourself. All of this a bullshit." And something about some mercenary and some guy named Azot. I tried heading to Agroprom, but the teleporter was disabled. So, I walked all the way to Luther in the warehouses, who was taking a shit. He shares that a man named Luke should know way to Limansk, and that he was lastly seen with Forrester. On my way there, I walked into a bush with a dead guy with a PDA on him. According to it, he was a Seacon agent. Quoting, "The zone are again changed. Reborn motivated again. Reach the Agroprom. Timer in underground will turn off when climb the ladder. He must take a quest for loot, art and PDA in underground from Vivisector and Wanderer. Find Luke in cave and take his PDA. Study the way of the gunslinger at the station to act properly. Give him a tip orally. Give him a vodka." What the fuck? I visited Forrester, who says that Luke went to Agroprom Underground alone, and not to go to the bridge as it is a bad place now. So, I went directly to the bridge.
Иди ко мне. Ты обретешь то, что заслуживаешь.
After that clusterfuck I found Vivisector in Agroprom. He played League Mobile, then spazzed out on top of a dead spider. Then on his third stop for no reason a Botsakar attacked and he died. This is a good sign. Once we reached the base he shot me in the back, twice, so I put him in the naughty corner so he may dry his pants. He had no useful dialogue so I went underground, which went as well as you can imagine. Past the door teleporter I found Luke, who was not doing too well. A timer appeared so I just ran through the underground deeper into the tunnels where a swarm of xenomorph Tushkanos were preparing to be the biggest pain in the ass. After 137th attempt I got to the ladder. Why exactly did I get to the ladder? There is no other way out, so I bombed a couple thousand of families and ran back up to look who was dead. You may be tempted to fight the entire population of Tushkanos, but they reproduce faster than you can terminate them. So I just went past the metal grid and out through the portal and ended up in a pipe with another portal ahead. I ended up in Dark Valley and found someone named for S.T.A.K.E.R. He says that I need to find a secret teleport of the zone. He says that the way to it is through some overpass and that you need to walk through it all the way to the end. I guess that could be the one next to him, but I was just teleported on top of a tree and scummed into more bleeding. I returned to Vivisector and spoke to him about Luke and told him that he died. What a pity, he says. Luke had great info on him, 4 teleporters to Le Mans and a mysterious artifact that gave you maximum risk, but nothing else other than that. So while wandering the garbage I ran into a PDA on a random bandit corpse, quoting, "What if Gunslinger was left without rifle? I think he wouldn't going run. Main thing is to make Monolith not focused on him. Must collect PDAs. 3 in Dark Valley, 2 in Red Forest, 3 at the garbage, 1 at the Yantre, 2 in Agroprom Underground, 1 in a warehouse, and himself give you the quest for 1. You have to gather all the PDAs that was in that zone before the big emission. So far the most useful hint. So went to the Dark Valley and found the commandant's corpse with his PDA on him. It hinted at the same things as well as some secret weapons. Eventually I found a way to Lemansk through Yantar, but only to some random ass building, where a stalker named Lotzman wanted to meet up and warn me of some suspicious doctor on the construction site. The outside was absolute chaos, so I walked into some teleporter and ended up in what the fuck is this shit? Well, this is not helpful. Time for the Slovenian way out. Okay, let's try the other one. Well, that's one idea better, but I don't wish to be here now. What about the normal transition to Lemansk? Okay, that's not good. And a third teleport. Eventually, I looked it up and I think this guy named Azot needed to be alive to get there, which means that my entire run was fucked because of a dead NPC. Following the steps of some Russian streamer, I met with a merc named Khvor who had useless dialogue, but the streamer got a task from him, and I got a task to deal with mutants and shot a chimera. He gave me the task completion, but Khvor had nothing to say, so I decided that I'm not dealing with that bullshit. I returned to Vivisector just to find out that he randomly died. A quest NPC. Again! So at this point I was completely done and decided to be a menace to the entire zone.
I am the spy.
Thanks for that, tough guy. Who's the tough guy? What if I blow this baby out?
Don't just stand there, man.
Well, there was one more portal left, one behind Sidrovich that leads directly to the CMPP. Perhaps I could at least complete that.
Желание скоро
No thanks. And that's as far as I got. Hello, editor here. So I found this epic guide that I could have actually used to complete the mod, but I can't be arsed really, so you can look it up yourself. I have not eaten for 13 days. Send help. You may think it's not as bad, but I really had to cut a lot of the pain for the sake of making the story somewhat coherent. I repeated half of what I just showed you several times just to understand what the fuck was going on. Well, the story is a mess, but it does sound genuinely interesting. It's just poorly translated and there is not a single clear clue because of it. It's more like you're investigating around the whole zone, looking for every bit of information to help you, but if you're a Clear Sky veteran, you may be able to easily figure it out. I really don't know if I can complete this mod, but if you people want me to suffer, perhaps I could do a video revisiting it and try to reach the end. The mod itself is a part of a trilogy, so there will be more pain to come. The mod is chaotic, there is no other word to describe it. I like how ridiculous it is, but abuse doesn't equal gameplay. Well, I tried it and my skill issues won. So far this marks the most painful mod I've covered and probably the craziest one as well. If you have any mods that you wish for me to check out, simply write it down in the comments. For the next one I've decided to try something else. I'll be covering a free play mod called Global War. It's a mod that adds a shit ton of factions and puts them all in a war across the zone. That is the perfect recipe for a major disaster, which is why all of you are here. Thank you all for your attention, your enjoyment is everything to me, and we will see each other again soon enough.